Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to have this opportunity once again to be able to spend 10 minutes having a conversation around something that's really prevalent, that I'm spending a lot of time working with people in and groups in organizations. One of the really cool things about what I do is when I go into organizations is, although we start with the end in mind, we also want to know exactly what it is we're going to build. And there's a lot of the language around organizations about what they think teams should be. Well, I've started referring to teams in organizations as tribes, because it actually makes it easier to understand tribes, because tribes have been around for 50,000 years. And the whole purpose of having a tribe way back then was about personal safety. If you were part of the tribe, you were safe. If you left the tribe, you weren't safe. And we see that playing out in the animal kingdom. So we see, and we call them herds. So you see herds of elephants, herds of giraffes, herds of zebras. They stay in groups. Well, human beings are exactly the same. So when I started looking at this, I really started finding it very interesting. There's a particular guy who's written a lot on books about tribes, and his name is Seth Godin. And Seth Godin, a lot of you might remember him. He's written The Purple Cow. It's one of his big books about standing out in the crowd. And it's about standing out as a tribe. Because as we move from post-industrial age of where we had factories, people working in factories, we're now moving into the consciousness age. And you might just start noticing it around the world right now, where people are actually changing how they work. They're choosing how they work. They're choosing what they want in their life. They want their lives to work for themselves, as opposed to working for somebody else. I'm making sense here, guys, yes? We see there's a lot of organizations are downsizing, right-sizing, left, right-sizing. Whatever's going on, there's always something happening. And I think it's important to start looking at tribes. But particularly what I want to get the message across today is our tribe. Because does anybody in this room believe that this is not a tribe? No? Cool. Because it's a very solid tribe that we've got. Now, the question I want to put forward to you is, how are we going to grow this tribe? How do we expand this tribe, apart from just having what we're having in a few weeks, which is a Visitor's Day? I'll let you ponder that question for a few seconds. So, when we look at tribes, a tribe is a group of people connected to an idea, connected to a leader, connected to each other. And it's on the each other, which is at the tail end, which is the most important part of being in a tribe. And it's a bit like being in B&I. The transaction is the last part that comes from being in the B&I. The transaction is the last part of having the money. And I read recently Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Get Rich, which was written in 1928. And he talks about, he's got these 12 steps in it, and the final step is actually focusing on making money, which for me was quite an eye-opener, particularly for being around groups of people, especially in organizations, when they believe their sole purpose is for making money. So when you start working with the tribe and you start to flip it, they start to see that actually if we start working backwards, the money will naturally come because it's the last part of the equation. And that's something that's not relevant in today's or society's way of thinking. I'm making sense here, yes? Great. So if you look at tribes, they exist everywhere, especially outside organizations. I see in the city, when I'm working in the city, I walk around on a Friday afternoon and you can see the tribe of the Friday evening drinkers. What happens? There's just like somebody flicks the switch, boom, they all start hitting all the venues. We see the tribes in a resourceful way when it comes to the football. Have you gone to the city on a Friday or Saturday night? It's like these tribes of colours and waves of people all heading towards the one direction, to the MCG or a Etihad. It's fantastic. I want to use Steve Jobs as an example. Now, he had a tribe, and that tribe was Apple. And I'm using his as an example because if you imagine that Steve Jobs showed up for a paycheck, I'm not saying it's not nice to get paid, absolutely, but essential to believe. So therefore, in our group, what are we believing in as we move forward? Who are we in this B&I refers? And I want us to think about that. What do we believe in as opposed from turning up every Tuesday? There's got to be a purpose. There's got to be a belief. Whatever that is for you, I want you to start thinking about it. Because that's the reason why you turn up every week. Because I know it's more than just about the money. And I believe it's the last part there. It's connected to each other. And if you can drive that deeper, not just here, but in your organization or where you work, then you're going to have far more sustainable results. So what is our tribe and why it matters that you're in our tribe? People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They're not going around saying that, but they do want to be part of something larger than themselves. And when you think about that, you have a look at Facebook. Nobody believed in the amount of time that Facebook is around that it's actually, if it was in terms of numbers, it would be the 4th largest country in the world right now. And there's people connecting with people out there on a global scale. It's massive, and it's only the beginning. And a lot of people can feel that that change is coming. We are actually in the flow of that change of what's happening on a consciousness level around the planet. There's people really hooking into it, and the internet's a massive part for building that tribe. So the benefits of being in our BNI tribe is camaraderie, is respect. It's skills that we learn to be able to tap into people who's already here. Because the contrast to that, if you're not a part of this group, you're a part of somebody else's group. And if you're not in this group, then you're elsewhere, bringing your skills and your knowledge. And I want you to question, is this the group that you want to be part of to grow even further and even more with? Because I believe it is. And I believe we're on the right path. And I believe on some level we actually just haven't been discovered yet. It's like we're waiting for the champagne. We've been shaking the champagne bottle, yeah? And the cork hasn't just quite snapped, but it will. Statistically speaking, as I look around this room, and if I said that you've been in business, each person's been in business for 10 years, and you do the math, okay? There's 150, 160 hours, or years, I should say, not years, but years of knowledge to be tapped into. That's massive. Think about that. That knowledge economy that exists in this room, that sometimes I don't believe, through the conduit of Facebook that we already have, we don't tap into it enough. Tap into it for information. Tap into it for finding goods. Tap into it for services. Tap into it for where are we going, what do we want to achieve, what do I want to share. Yes? Absolutely, because from my perspective, this here is starting to become archaic. This here is only an action that's taking place that could be taking place electronically. And in fact, I also question, from my map and my perspective, wanting to actually have my coffee chats virtually via Skype. And I know I've mentioned that to somebody, Bo, to have our coffee chat, as opposed to going to his business, can we do it via Skype? Because time is becoming a constraint. Can he lift his computer up and walk around his premises and show me what he's doing and what he's got? Yes. It's a different way of thinking, because that's what I'm all about, thinking differently while we move forward. I want to share a story. And I know at the beginning I spoke about Steve Jobs. And he's relevant because everybody knows him. And I was on the train about 3 weeks ago going into the city, and it was packed, as it is, peak hour. There's been 300 people on it. And every third person had an Apple product. Whether it was an iPad, an iPod, an iPhone, white earphones. They stood out because they were a tribe. But they weren't saying, I'm in a tribe. But they are a tribe. And they're connected. And they were connecting with people on some level. The point I'm making with all of this is Steve Jobs has left this planet. But he's left a legacy of the tribe. So my argument is that every tribe that you go into, leave it better than when you first arrived in it. And that is my message to you guys. I'm going to finish up with these guys here. You're going to recognize them. And I want you to ask yourself, did they start out building a tribe? Yeah? Gary? George? Yeah? They've got a tribe of how many million people, but they didn't start out doing that. They started out believing that they had an idea of what they wanted to do. Marco Pierre White, a very young Marco Pierre White. Okay, when I was in the realm, a very, very famous chef, at the age of 32, had 3 Michelin stars. Can I tell you, there's people that spend a lifetime and don't even get one. He had 3 by the age of 32. He carved his own path through his own tribe. And that's what I mean by having your own tribe. You don't always follow the rules, but you always follow what the tribe wants. Therefore, it comes back to what are you believing in? Jimmy Oliver. Everybody's been touched by him in one way, shape, or form. But he's doing more than just cooking and products. He's actually helping people. This guy, we all know Richard Branson. Did he start out trying to build a tribe? No. He just started doing his own thing. Created the tribe. Finally, right now, I think this guy is the coolest guy on the planet, Seth Godin. The easiest thing to react, the second easiest thing is to respond, but the hardest thing is to initiate. To initiate within the tribe. Because leadership is actually quite easy. Create the vision, start moving towards it, people will follow you. Therefore, you have a tribe. And to me, that's exciting because it's exciting times that we're living in. I'm going to finish up by saying, guys, for those of you that are interested, and for those within your organization that might be interested, I'm going to run a free 90-minute workshop in the middle of the city, Flinders Lane. If there's anybody you know would like to come along, it's going to be towards the end of June. I haven't firmed the dates yet, because I'm still building in numbers. In fact, I might have to find a bigger venue. So if anybody's interested, let me know, guys. I'd love to have you there. It's about coaching for managers and EQ for leaders, which is something very relevant in today's world. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for having me once again, guys. Thanks for your attention. Thank you for your time. I love being part of this group. You guys rock. Thank you very much.